What's up, Anchor peeps and horror fans? I am Anchor Pete, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Shari T. And we are here tonight to discuss the movie Freaky. Freaky stars Vince Vaughn and also Kathryn Newton. And it takes the premise of Freaky Friday, but it adds a serial killer like slasher touch. And it's got some pretty gruesome kills in it, but it's mainly a horror comedy.
Right.
So I was just going to ask you right off the bat, what'd you think of Freaky?
I thought that Freaky was an R-rated movie based on its language and violence and gore. However, it's very PG-13 in its sweet little heart.
So the thing about this movie, right, is that it's obviously inspired by the movie Freaky Friday, where you have a teenager swapping bodies with an adult, right?
Right.
But I think that probably a major inspiration for this movie that's going unsaid is Jack Black's character from Jumanji.
Yes,
right?
yes. I was thinking of Jumanji when we were watching this as well.
Yeah. Because what happens, for those of you that don't know about this movie, is that Vince Vaughn plays this slasher killer that's the equivalent of like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, and he just goes around killing teenagers in this town of Blissville.
Right, and he likes to attack on homecoming nights.
Yes. And he's an urban legend, right?
Mm-hmm.
So through something that we'll get into in spoilers, he ends up swapping bodies with this girl, Millie, and she's this innocent little teenage girl. And so it's fun to see Vince Vaughn pretending to be this teenage girl, and then it's also fun to see Kathryn Newton essentially playing this like diabolical, very, he doesn't say much, killer.
Right. Just like Jason or Michael Myers, she's almost wordless.
Yeah.
But very menacing.
Yeah. And so for this movie, right, it was actually directed by Christopher Landon, right? And you guys might not know who he is, but he wrote Paranormal Activity 2, 3, and 4, right? And he also wrote Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, right? And Kathryn Newton, she was in Paranormal Activity 4.
Oh, so they have a working relationship.
Yes.
I thought he was famous for Happy Death Day.
He is famous for Happy Death Day and Happy Death Day to You, which is the sequel.
Okay.
Which we have not seen.
Okay.
But
actually, I haven't seen any of those movies. I've only seen the first Paranormal Activity, so this is new for me dealing with this. He's a writer-director?
Yes,
Okay.
He's a writer-director. And the movie is written by him and one other guy named Michael Kennedy. And then Michael Kennedy has written a bunch of episodes of Family Guy and American Dad.
Oh, so a comedian.
Yeah.
A comedy writer.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense when you think about this movie, which is kind of a cross between a horror movie and a comedy.
Yeah. So,
I don't think it's a confused movie, though. I think it's doing exactly what it set out to do, which is try to be kind of almost a B, like a silly B funny movie.
Yeah. No spoilers at first. For the first 5 minutes, we're just going to have our spoiler-free discussion, and then we will give you heads up when the spoilers are coming. So, like Shari said, the movie is essentially like a comedy, but with some real gruesome deaths in there. And with the writing, it just seemed like that maybe they could have done like one or two more drafts and really try to make a little bit more like sophisticated jokes.
Yeah.
A lot of the jokes are jokes that you see from a mile away.
Yes.
Right?
They're obvious. They've been done before. I will say Vince Vaughn, I did really enjoy him. And I actually started to get like more into his character the more the movie went.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my favorite part about this movie. But I would give it like, I don't know, C+. What do you think?
Well, let's use our Clemmy scale, where 5 Clemmys is like a great movie, the best it could be. 1 is the worst it could be. So where would you put it in there?
I'd give it like a 3. It's fun and it's forgettable. And Vince Vaughn's performance is maybe worthwhile. And if you just want to have some popcorn and enjoy yourself, I think you will.
Yeah. Okay. I, believe it or not, as a horror guy, I'm actually going to go lower. I'm actually going to give it a 2.5.
Okay.
And so 2.5 Clemmys. I think there was like a lot of potential there, and it could have been a bit funnier, or there could have been more suspense to it. And there's a lot of ways where I kept sitting there thinking, oh, if they did this differently, it would have been better. And so I shouldn't be thinking that during a movie. you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I did like Vince Vaughn's performance, like you said, but otherwise I was just sitting there and I was like, okay, can we just get to this point? Can we just get to this point?
Can we get to the point where we talk about spoilers?
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you don't want to hear any spoilers, wait until you watch the movie. Come back and see us after that because we're going into it now. Okay. For me, a huge problem was the missed opportunity in this movie.
Yeah.
You have a killer who always strikes on homecoming night. Nothing happens at the homecoming event in this movie. There's like a dance or something going on where nothing happens at the dance. Maybe it's that we just saw Carrie, and I'm kind of like thinking, there's no coronation scene. There's no football scene. I was just sort of disappointed that they didn't do something more with that. I was waiting for that as a sort of finale part.
Okay, well, let's take that, right? Because you're saying essentially with the homecoming setting, you could do all this kind of fun stuff, especially the idea of like this, like almost like Michael Myers type killer in the body of this teenage girl, right? You could do all kinds of creative things, right?
Yes.
Have all these scenes where like maybe she has a date and like the guy's being all flirty and stuff, and you know you're kind of laughing because you're like, yeah, she just wants to murder this person, right?
Right.
And there's nothing like that. There's not a lot of use of the fact that you got Vince Vaughn portraying like a teenage girl. What's good about Vince Vaughn's portrayal of the teenage girl is that he's able to like. He does more for the character of the teenage girl. Of the teenage girl, I keep saying teenage girl. Her name's Millie, right?
The character's Millie. Yeah.
You care more about Millie when Vince Vaughn is playing her than when Kathryn Newton is playing her.
Yeah, and that's fair though because he gets all the meat of the character. For most of the movie, Vince Vaughn is playing Millie.
Yeah.
So that's fair. They do a lot of character development for her, which I appreciate. We find out that her father has passed away in the past year. Her mom is drinking, and her mom's really clinging to her because she misses the father. So she's trying to fill in, and she doesn't even want to tell her mom that she wants to go to college or that she wants to go to homecoming because she's trying to just be there for her mom and is like not kind of living a life for herself.
Yeah.
The older sister is a police woman, and she lives also with them, and she kind of scoffs at this, how ridiculous it is. She's disappointed in the mom for drinking, and she's disappointed in her sister for just catering to the mom. And that's kind of the setup we're given about that character. She has two dear best friends at school.
Yeah.
Who are one's a black girl and one is a gay boy, so they checked off some boxes there. And she's also bullied. The main character is bullied horribly at school, which I think is a little absurd because she's gorgeous.
Yeah, okay.
Like, the boys wouldn't like her. Come on.
Yeah. Okay, so all right. I'm really glad you brought that up.
I was rolling my eyes.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? Is that the movie gets better once Vince Vaughn is being Millie, right? Like once Millie's in his body, it gets better. And then once he connects with his friends and they start to plan on how to change him back, that's when it's at its best, right? But leading up to it, I was getting kind of worried in the beginning because like it's just kind of ridiculous how bad her life is. And okay, like I kept thinking about Spider-Man 2, right? Like the beginning of Spider-Man 2 is really great because it shows how crappy Peter Parker's life is. There's all these examples of how crappy his life is and you feel bad for him, right? This movie was like that, but it was just like these ridiculous reasons. I mean, she's this really good-looking girl, which, okay, fine. From, like, movie standards, it's like, okay, we're going to say that this is a girl that no guy would be into, even though she looks like this, like, almost like fairy tale beauty of a girl.
She's gorgeous.
Yeah.
There's no question. I mean, apparently in the movie, boys like yell at her in the hall, and she's the mascot for the school, which is a beaver. You know, that's another like kind of like lame joke. Right, she's a mascot for the school, and the men say that's the only, or the football players say that's the only beaver I don't want. Really?
After they throw a drink at her head.
Right. It's just again, we just watched Carrie, and I can't help but think about this is what bullying really, when it's really painful, and why and stuff.
It's like too on the nose, like. And the thing is, like, with a movie, like, maybe you would have it where her hair's, like, in a bun, or she has glasses, or some kind of stupid thing to make her less attractive.
She's all that.
Yeah, but she's just walking around just, like, this, like, beautiful-looking girl.
With long, flowing blonde hair.
Yeah. It just doesn't add up, you know? Like, in a movie, there has to be something that makes her less attractive, and then she changes it.
Her mom works at the discount store.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting, right? The mom who is drinking because the father died, she works at this store and it's embarrassing, right? Okay, that's good. I
Right,
like
and
that.
there is a girl that like picks on her about that, and I think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I do think that is something that a girl would get picked on at school.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of kills in this movie, right?
Yeah.
And they're all pretty gory and bloody.
Yeah.
I didn't find any of them very creative.
Mm.
Like, I mean, maybe John Wick has put my standard pretty high, but like I'm looking for a little bit more creative kill. If you're gonna have a big death count, give me something interesting. There was one scene I thought was kind of good. What was it? She put that girl in the...
Okay, well, that's the thing I have a problem with. The cryogenic thing?
Yeah, it wasn't even that good. What am I saying?
Yeah.
The cryogenic thing, and the girl freezes and breaks apart.
Yeah. So the girl that picks on her, right, about her mom working at the discount dress store, whatever the hell it is, right? She goes to talk to her in the locker room, but it's when the serial killer is inside of Millie, right? So Millie just takes the girl, and for some reason, this high school has this like cryogenic freezing room in the gym area, like in the locker room.
Yeah.
Right? I'm guessing it has something to do with athletes and cooling them off and stuff, but it's enough that you could freeze a person's body within like 30 seconds and they will shatter to the ground, right? it's like too much, man. It's that part's like, it's like almost like a farce, So there's that, and then like
that was the most creative kill, I think, though. Otherwise, we just
no. The kill that I think sticks out the most for me is when they kill Cameron from Ferris Bueller's.
I thought of that too, but even that, I'm not that impressed. Okay,
Okay.
It's in the wood shop. He's the wood shop teacher, so there's what is it, a buzzsaw?
Yeah. Okay. So I want to unpack that too. Okay.
Yeah.
So Cameron from Ferris Bueller is like probably the biggest star besides Vince Vaughn in this movie, right?
I was real happy to see him, and then what do they do with him?
Well, yeah. Okay, they kill him. Fine, it's a horror movie, right?
No, that's not what I mean. How do they cast him?
Well, yeah. This is the part that's really fucking stupid. It's like he like hates this girl. That's why it's like so over the top. She doesn't do anything besides come late to class. That's literally all she does. Is she comes late to class, and he just like rips into her, right? And every time she does something a little off, he's just like, just abusing her as a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, come on. There's got to be like a missing scene where it's like her dad died because of this, and it's connected to this guy. But there's no explanation why this teacher like hates her. Like literally hates her. He's like, you're gonna be a fuck up for the rest of your. I mean, he doesn't say that, but like it's like something like that where it's just like, that's why you're never gonna amount to anything. Oh, like he like mocks her. It's like, come on, you gotta have some kind of reason why a teacher would act like that to a student. They would be fired.
Yeah, but it's more like just set up that she's gotta have a few enemies that we will enjoy seeing get killed because they were so mean to her.
Yeah.
And this is why I say this is like really a PG-13 movie, because anyone that she cares about doesn't die.
Okay, so
I mean, no one.
So I want to unpack that too, right? Because I like that, because that's another point. But let's just talk about that kill.
You liked that?
It's something I think is worth talking about. Right?
It is worth talking about, but I don't think it makes it. I mean, I think that's a detriment to the movie. I mean.
Well, so let's just put a pin in that for 1 second, because I want to just talk about Cameron's death real quick. Okay. So what I like about that scene with Cameron's death, there is one aspect I like. It's the first person. No, I'm sorry. It's the second person that the killer tries to kill with Millie's body, right? And instead of it being this teenage girl that he just tricks and shoves into the freezer, now it's an adult that she's coming at with a screwdriver to stab, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is able to grab her and kind of beat her up. And I like that because it shows, hey, you're not in your giant Vince Vaughn body anymore. You're in this teenage girl body. I like that.
I like that too. I did notice that. I was thinking that that's kind of cool that this hulking huge guy who's, what is Vince Vaughn, like 6'5"?
Probably.
Right, and they play it that way, that he's used to being super strong and super able and capable and bigger than everybody else and able to just like, at the beginning, they have a beginning scene where he kills 4 teenagers in a house. He just bursts through, glass doors, no problem, right? So they kind of accentuate that, and they did a good job accentuating that because it matters when he's in her, petite teenage girl body. And this teacher just starts beating her up, and he's like, oh shit, I'm a killer, but I'm not in a killer body anymore. You know? So he has to work a little bit harder when he's in her body to kill people.
Yeah. And so I want to see more scenes of that, where he has to be creative to kill someone versus using this hulking body. And one other thing I wanted to bring up with that particular idea is that what I noticed with like the recent Halloween movie and a couple other horror movies I've seen very recently is that it's different from like the slashers that we saw when we were kids, where it's like they do some kind of horrific thing and the camera lingers on the gross thing. Like they slash someone's throat and you linger on the person for a second and that's it, right? Now with slashers, it seems like there's like a little bit of brutality first, where they're like beating up the person and then they're stabbing them, right? Like in the very first scene, he takes a bottle,
a wine bottle,
right, and he shoves it down this kid's throat, right? And in an old slasher, he'd probably just like shove it into the kid's eye, and you just see it go in, and it would cut, right? Well, this he like shoves it in, pushes it down. They focus on his neck as he's kind of shoving it down, and then he like breaks the bottle, and like glass comes out the kid's neck, right?
Yeah, it's gross.
So it's very brutal, and it's just like in the Halloween movie that I reviewed for the Lastercast show, where like Michael Myers is like more brutal. He's like shoving people's heads and then stabbing them, right? And so that's the way that Vince Vaughn's killer is like in this movie. And so with that kill with Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he like stabs him in the throat with the screwdriver and then knocks him onto the circular saw and then just like pushes him so that his body gets split in half. It's pretty over the top.
Yeah, and I promised myself I wouldn't look away at gross things like that, because I usually do, because I don't really enjoy seeing that.
Yeah.
And I didn't. And you know what? It didn't really bother me, because this movie just did not disturb me in the way, what I consider a really good horror movie to disturb.
Yeah. Well, so let's take that and segue into the point that you were talking about before, where all the people that she cares about, her two friends, her mom, her sister, and her potential boyfriend.
The boy she has a crush on, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. None of them die.
Nope.
And that bothers you.
It's not that it bothers me, but that's why I think it's a PG-13 movie. I mean, it plays nice. Mm-hmm. You never really have to suffer and see someone you like die. Not that I think they did a good enough job setting up these characters to really like them.
You're absolutely right. That like all the people that she cares about, they don't die. It would have been more effective if like one of them did die. But I kept seeing it as like, oh, maybe they're trying to make like a franchise of this, because what I think of this movie is that the best part of the movie, the absolute best part of the movie, is when the friends are working with Vince Vaughn, who has Millie in his body, just trying to like get him back into his regular body. And it's like Vince Vaughn talking to them as if he's Millie. I think that's the meat and potatoes of the movie.
Yeah, but that's the comedy. I mean, he's good in that part because it's funny, and they have this scene where he actually goes like the boy that Millie has a crush on and him kind of like get together in the backseat, and they're like kind of confessing their feelings for each other, and that's almost one of the best parts, right?
Yeah, that might be like the best part or one of the best parts.
There's definitely a highlight. You're
yeah.
Smiling, it's funny,
yeah.
It's cute, it's sweet, it's all these good things, but it's not because it's a good horror movie.
It's well acted. Yeah.
It's not hitting the horror mark, I don't think at all, and if that's the best part of the movie.
Yeah, the way it ends, just for everyone who doesn't care about spoilers, is that obviously the girl goes back into her body, Millie's back in her body, and Vince Vaughn's just kill her body, and you think he's dead after some cops shoot him, but then he comes back and tries to kill her in her house, and then she ends up killing him, right?
Of course she does.
Yeah.
Of course she does, because it's that kind of movie. He doesn't even get away or anything at the end.
Right. Well, this is what I thought, Shari. I thought that it was going to be that they shoot Vince Vaughn and Vince Vaughn is dead, but it turns out that they never really did switch bodies the right way, and so he was still in the girl's body.
That would have been better.
Maybe, yeah. I
Maybe
guess
they should hire you to rewrite the ending, because like I kind of thought something. I had a similar thought, and I'm just like, wouldn't that have been more interesting? I'm not sure how they would have pulled that off, but that's their job. They're the writers, figure it out. Instead, it was really ho hum. He just comes back to bother her, of course, and that's okay, except that it wasn't that interesting. She just kills him again.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like this thing of like showing that she can like take care of herself, or she's like finally sticking up for herself. And
I do think her character developed.
Yeah.
She does kind of come into her own by having to deal with this like predator in her life who's going after her friends and family. So I thought that was kind of nice.
Yeah. So we do recommend it for a good time, but I think we both are in agreement that it could have been better.
Yeah, and it's not for serious horror fans. It's not going to disturb you.
No, yeah. It's just really for like teenagers, I think. teenagers will really enjoy it. They'll
Sure.
be like, "Who's this old guy?" when they're thinking of Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, and they'll enjoy him.
Yeah.
If this is like someone's first time with Vince Vaughn, it's a good start with him.
Yeah. Maybe go see Old School or Swingers though instead.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Cool. All right. Well, that is it for us for tonight. So thanks for watching, and we will be back with another movie review. Thank you so much, and also like and subscribe. Bye.